This is Pastor Arik, and you're listening to The Clergy Corner. Welcome to episode 280 of this special podcast about life and faith. I'm your host, Eric Borstad, the pastor of Ankeny United Church in Ankeny, Iowa, and it is my hope that this will be a time of reflection, healing, and wholeness for you. Well, my friends, this is going to be the last episode, at least for a few weeks, as later on this week, my family and I are going to depart for a trip out to South Dakota, to the Black Hills, as we hold a memorial service of sorts for my maternal grandmother who passed away last year. Now, granted, if I have my act together when I get back, I can probably release an episode in 2 weeks' time, but that depends entirely on how quickly I can get caught back up on my work once I return home, because there's a lot going on after I get back. Regardless, since it is the start of the month, and an important month at that, I want to spend this week talking about the importance of pride and why it is important for us to celebrate Pride Month as a faith community. You see, one of the reasons I love the United Church of Christ as a denomination is because of its legacy of equality, inclusion, and justice. And it has an unprecedented legacy of supporting the LGBTQIA community, even at a time when such support was practically unheard of. If you didn't know, the UCC affirmed the ordination of gay ministers in 1973 with William Johnson, and invited congregations to accept and become open and affirming to use that designation, even starting as early as 1985. Nearly every time that the UCC has gathered for a general synod, they've affirmed a resolution in support of the LGBTQIA community. And then personally speaking, right, in Atlanta on July 4th in 2005, on the same trip when I went as a youth conference member where I heard my calling to become a minister, I've told that story before, but it was on that trip to that synod where I witnessed the UCC officially vote to become a denomination that supported marriage equality. And it became the first mainstream denomination to make such a stand. To be sure, this month is to celebrate and affirm the worth and dignity of all our LGBTQIA partners throughout the world. And so to do that, we will have pride parades. There will be colorful rainbow merchandise on the shelves of every major retail store. And we will take time to celebrate and affirm the beauty and worth of that community as an integral part of God's creation. But I think in the midst of all that celebration, right, we also need to take a moment to acknowledge that the road to get here was not easy, and many suffered and died because of the mistreatment that the LGBT community experienced at our own hands. When you look at the history of what the LGBT community has gone through, we see it has not been an easy road. When you think of the Stonewall riots that took place June 28th in 1969, how much violence and discrimination they faced, or the disproportionate number of suicides present in the LGBTQIA community, or even thinking to the legislation and discrimination that is still being levied against them to this day, that are on the desks of governors in states to try to regulate and ostracize and target specific members of this community. It is clear that while we have come a long ways, there is still such a long ways for us left to go. And so while Pride is an opportunity to show our support and love for the diversity of God's creation and for our LGBTQIA siblings, it is also a moment when we should rededicate ourselves toward building a world where equality and justice is not just assumed, but is the basic standard given to all of our siblings. It is a time when we put our words into action as we try to build a world where everyone is free to be themselves, fully, openly, honestly, authentically, without fear of judgment or retaliation. And you know what really inspired me about Ankeny United Church, as I read over your profile, as I was deciding whether or not to come here, was this church's unwavering commitment to the LGBT community and to support them not just with words, but with actions. Not just to talk the talk, but to really walk the walk, to put our commitment into action. As we enter into Pride Month, I'm going to invite us to do what we can to take our words and our actions seriously, to make a lasting difference in this community. And even if that just means that we will be a faith family that is unequivocal in our welcoming and accepting of the LGBT plus community. If we can be a sanctuary, a beacon, a faith family that people can come to know that they will not be excluded or judged, but will be welcomed and loved exactly as they are with open arms. That the moment they come through our doors, they will be met with this blanket of love that encompasses them as our church becomes a beacon that can guide people home. To be sure, Pride Month is a sacred and a holy time, and it is one that is worth celebrating. So I hope that this month will be filled with memories of triumphs, recognizing how far we have come, and that we also honor those that have paved the way for us to be here today. Those who had the incredible strength to endure such discrimination and hardship, who were unabashedly, unequivocally themselves, people who inspired and encouraged others to be true to themselves, knowing that there would be brighter days ahead. Let us recognize that there is still such a long way for us to go. And yet the future that we envision, where equality is the standard, it seems like it is within reach. We're not there yet, but we're closer than we have ever been before. So my friends, may this month be filled with love and rainbows as we celebrate the love that we share, recognizing that love will always have the final say. So until next time, happy Pride Month, and be well, my friends. Amen. Thanks once again for listening. If you want to learn more about Ankeny UCC, go to ankenyucc.org. And if you want to write in a show suggestion or have any comments, you can send those emails to clergycornerpodcast@gmail.com.